Australia has got to be the friendliest place in the world, everyone, and this Rod Laver Arena is so close to downtown that it is frankly the players' favourite place to play. Welcome to the Australian Open 2001. We're at Melbourne Park. And today, Agassi. He is the man. He's the man who is left in this championship. Everybody expects him to win, but he's got Todd Martin of the USA today. And the weather again is hot, but not oppressively hot like it can be. And there's, generally speaking, not a breeze. So very good conditions for tennis. Friendly hello, everybody. I'm Cliff Drysdale. Agassi and Martin coming up here, and that is going to be a terrific match. I'm still sort of taking a deep breath after what we just saw in that women's singles, because it was a terrific comeback there from Jennifer Capriati. Not only did she win the match, but she showed me a lot about her heart and her speed. I think she's in terrific shape. Lindsay Davenport is also playing some very good tennis. She is the defending champion here. Tonight she takes on Anna Kournikova. Anna Kournikova, this is the second best she's ever done. She has 97, got to a Wimbledon semi-final. Anyway, they play against each other tonight. You can see that match at 1 p.m. tomorrow on ESPN. And now, let me bring Patrick McEnroe in. And Patrick, we are in for a very nice day today, but let's talk about what happened last night, because this Norman match I thought was a very good one, and actually was a big surprise because we've got actually two Frenchmen now in the last 8.
That's right, 2 Frenchmen into the quarterfinals, and we had seen the top 3 seeds go out in this tournament. Of course, there was Kierton losing, then Safin, then Pete Sampras yesterday to Todd Martin. Well, then it was the turn of Magnus Norman last night under the lights right here at the Rod Laver Arena, taking on Sebastian Grosjean. You mentioned the other Frenchman, of course, Arnaud Clément, but let's go back to what happened last night in this 4th round encounter. Magnus Norman, the intense competitor from Sweden, what a year he had last year. We pick up action in the first set, but Grosjean, I'll tell you, he is so quick around the court, and he's got some great feel. He wins the first set in the tiebreak. More the same in the second set. Grosjean showing his variety. How about this bounce? A weird bounce there. Grosjean goes on to take set number 2 as well, fairly easily, 6-3, but Norman comes back. He's very fit, one of the fittest guys out there. He wins the 3rd, 6th love, and then in the 4th, look at this, it's 5-4, match point for Grosjean. Watch what happens here. Both guys think the match is over, and look who comes out. The chair umpire says, hey, I heard a let on the electronic net device. Says, don't shake hands, we have to replay the point.
And Norman says the heck with it. He said, you won it, it's over. And Grosjean, after the match was over, he said, Patrick, I'm not sure I would have done that.
Well, there you see Norman shaking hands, saying, no, you got it. Well done to Sebastian Grosjean. So another diminutive Frenchman as Norman loses this match into the quarterfinals. Of course, he will now take on the other guy who's back in form here, Carlos Moyer, the Spaniard, in the quarterfinals, and Clément against Kafelnikov.
You know, you've got these two French players, and I was talking to one of the guys who's part of their player development program, talking about the French program now, Patrick, and the guy said to me, you know, you have these 2 little guys, and we never thought, watching them grow up, that they would be like top 10 material, and here they both are, with the, contenders here at this first Grand Slam of the year. But let's talk about tonight's match, or this afternoon's match, rather. Agassi of the USA is still by far the favorite here, and he's got Todd Martin, who played 3 very good sets against Pete Sampras to beat him.
Well, that's right. He lost the first set in the tiebreak, did to Pete Sampras yesterday, Todd Martin. But how about Agassi? I mean, he comes down here last year playing brilliant tennis and just dominated the field at the Australian Open last year to win this Grand Slam title for the 2nd time. Of course, he beat Pete Sampras in the semifinals and Kafelnikov in the final. But the rest of the year, well, it was real downtime for Agassi. He did not win another tournament after that Australian Open. But this year, it's been more of the same that we saw from Agassi last year down under. Just dominating his opponents, playing with that efficiency that we know he can play with here, taking on the American Paul Goldstein. He ran him ragged all over the court, and he just seems rejuvenated. He loves the conditions. He loves the surface here. Another guy who's rejuvenated, though, is Todd Martin. I mean, he took most of the rest of the year off after the U.S. Open last year, did the American, and he, too, Cliff, is playing some outstanding tennis.
Let's talk about him a little bit, Patrick, because here's one guy, you know, we talk a lot about Todd Martin, the things that he does mechanically, but I think mentally he's really one of the toughest players out there. I mean, this match is never over until it's over, as they say, for him, and that's the truth.
Well, there's a great line in one of the Australian papers that said, when Todd Martin plays, it isn't best of 5, it is 5. I mean, when he goes out there, especially the last couple of years at the U.S. Open, Todd Martin, he's become the marathon man of tennis. And yes, he has shown a tremendous amount of heart and feistiness, actually, as he's aged in his career. This was against Pioline to get him into the U.S. Open final in '99. His memorable matches, of course, that year were the ones he won over Ruszewski and others in 5 sets. And at the Australian Open, I'll tell you, what a display. I watched this entire match out on the Vodafone Arena against Pete Sampras. Martin lost the first set, but just played spectacular tennis. Returning serve, winners, serving impeccably well. And, well, what does he have to look forward to now? Well, the A-train, Andre Agassi. And he didn't have a great record against Sampras. He doesn't have a great one against Agassi. Martin's going to have to play at that level again because Agassi is a tougher matchup for Todd Martin.
Well, we'll find out. It's going to be live coverage here from Melbourne Park, and I know you're going to stay tuned because this is going to be a battle of heavyweights. Andre Agassi of the USA taking on his countryman, Todd Martin, who is firing on all cylinders today, believe me. Agassi Martin, live quarterfinal men's singles. Welcome back to our live coverage, everyone. It is now just about 2:45 in the afternoon here in Melbourne as Andre Agassi, the number 6 seed here, but by far the favorite, takes on Todd Martin, quarterfinals. And there's a look at the matchups here, Patrick.
Clement, top section of the draw there. Clement, Kafelnikov. Talked about the two Frenchmen. There's Grosjean, the resurgent, rejuvenated Carlos Moya. Good to see him back playing the type of tennis he played that got him to a final here in '97.
My question is Rafter or Buddy? Who do you think in that one?
Well, I think Rafter in that one. I think he's probably happier he's not playing against Marat Safin, who lost to her body in straight sets. I think that presents a few more matchup problems for Rafter. That the big serving, the big hitting Russian. Her body is a very talented player, obviously, but I think Rafter will be able to take a little pace off the ball and chip and charge. Andre Agassi, well, you have to do a lot more than just take off the pace when you play him when he is at his best.
Agassi's 30 years old. How big would an Agassi-Rafter semifinal be down under?
That would be huge down here. See his match record last year, 40-15. 14-3 in the majors.
Well, he won this one, so he's the defending, and then he sort of stuttered a little bit in the others.
Yeah, he got to the finals, the semifinals at Wimbledon, obviously.
Losing to Rafter there.
Here, Vanek easily, Goldstein in straights. Prinisil couldn't take it. It was a TKO there. That was one of the real hot days. Prinisil just ran out of steam. Agassi warmed down. He did the same to Ely, who played a great first set. But the Punisher in full form in the final 3, just working him over.
Meanwhile, Todd Martin's punished a few here. As you said, he likes to play the long matches, and he never gives up. I mean, he's a tall guy as well. He's had injuries, this 30-year-old who's now from Ponte Vedra Beach. But to me, he's one of the toughest competitors out there.
Well, you see that he didn't play for 6 months last year. He missed a couple of months in the beginning of the year with an injury, and then he didn't play at the end of the year just to really rest, and he got married in December. Here he took out Byron Black in straights, a good win there. Caleri was a tough match. Argentinian player, very tight match there, 6-2 in the 5th. And then Martin, of course, with the huge win over Pete Sampras yesterday, 2 days ago.
Excuse me, Patrick. Todd Martin has had huge wins in his career. Has been a finalist here in the past. He is really genuinely one of tennis's Mr. Nice Guys, and he talked about it.
People fail to understand the difference between politeness and niceness, and I make a point of being as polite as I can to most people. I do not always succeed at that, but I think those close to me realize that I'm not always so nice, and when I walk out on the court, I feel that same way. I feel like it's my responsibility to be a gentleman and behave in a sportsmanlike manner and to be polite to who I come into contact with, but still I view my opponent as the adversary, and I treat him that way. You know, I'm not in a. I don't play tennis so I can, you know, like kill people. I play it to get the most out of myself, but in order to get the most out of myself, I have to be as competitive against somebody as possible.
Pretty thoughtful guy, and he's been the ATP Tour president a couple of times. No player's ever taken out Sampras and Agassi in the same slam. So if Martin can win this one today, he'll be the first. I want to ask you, Patrick, about Pete Sampras and where you think he stands now, because his effort wasn't great here against Todd Martin. I mean, I know Todd Martin played great tennis, and you saw that match, but something lacking with Pete.
Well, I think that lack of match play is one thing. He just hasn't played that much tennis, and Of course, he took most of the year off after the Open last year, did play the World Championships, and came down here and had a couple of very tough matches in the early going. I think if he had a few more matches, maybe he would have gotten through those first couple a little bit easier. Then he runs into a guy who can play at that real high level, Todd Martin, and I think he was just, a little bit flat in that match.
Okay, let's take a break. We'll be back then with our live coverage of this men's singles best-of-5 set quarterfinal. They're playing for a place in the final 4 here at this first slam of the year, the Australian Open. When Andre Agassi takes the court, there's sort of an expectant murmur in the crowd always, because he is the ultimate showman. It's Agassi and Todd Martin at courtside. One of the crowd, very close to the action, is our own Malavia Washington. Hi, Mal.
Hey, Cliff. I am right in the middle of the photographer's box, and the courts down here at Ron Laver Arena, they're definitely filling in. A lot of people still milling around. I don't think the weather is going to be much of a factor, at least not right now. There's a lot of cloud cover, so I don't think the heat is going to be a big factor, but the shorter this match goes, definitely the better it is for Todd Martin. I think one of the keys for him is his serving. He's 64% when getting the first serve in this championship, and I think he's going to have to keep that percentage up even higher if he's going to be successful. For Andre Agassi, I think returning second serves is going to be a big deal for him in this championship. When looking at a second serve, he is 61% success rate, and that's very high for a second serve. So those are the two keys I see for these guys, and I don't know. I think we might see a good 4 or 5 set battle here.
Mel, you're suggesting that Todd Martin not quite as in good a shape as Agassi?
Oh, I definitely don't think Todd Martin can last. Of course, we've seen him last 4 and 5 sets and some great 5-set battles over the years at this championship and at the U.S. Open, as we saw earlier. But push comes to shove when it comes to a 2.5, 3 hour, 3.5 hour match. I definitely give the edge to Andre Agassi. I think he's the guy who can really work his opponent around the court better than anyone. And Todd doesn't want to be at the baseline trying to out-ground stroke Agassi. He wants to be getting in, trying to make the point short, but he has to be patient. He can't just rush things, maybe like a Greg Ruzetsky would constantly rush. He wants to be patient, but he definitely wants to get into the net.
I hope you saw that graphic as well. Thanks for that, Mal, by the way. But that graphic saying the last time they played was an unbelievable match. 10-8 in the 5th Wimbledon.
First set.
Agassi, you can see unbeaten from the quarterfinals on, or in quarterfinal matches at this Australian Open. Martin a serve.
Now 15.
An auspicious beginning for Todd Martin. Already feeling, as Mal pointed out, that Agassi will certainly try to attack that second serve of Todd.
Oh,
that's the one he needs. The problem, especially for Todd on this surface, is that it's very difficult. As you see that pinpoint accuracy from Martin, is that on this surface it's very difficult to serve volley on that second serve because the ball really sits up, is a little bit slower, actually quite a bit slower than the surface at the U.S. Open. That will favor Agassi. Last 2 times they've played in majors have been very close. Of course, the Wimbledon championships last year and the U.S. Open final in '99. Agassi won that in 5. And that's exactly what Martin would like to do, is on the second serve. A good serve. He put a little extra kick on that second serve as well, so Andre wasn't able to really get on top of it and then immediately look to go on the offensive, because Martin's not going to be able to serve volley behind that second serve against Agassi. But good serve, push Agassi back, and then go for the big shot in the second, third shot. Because if as Mal pointed out, if Agassi starts to work Martin over from the baseline, A, he's going to win most of those points, and even probably more importantly, B, is that that's going to take a lot out of Todd Martin physically.
Game point.
It's a lot easier to play a 3.5-hour match against someone than it is to play against Agassi. I mean, playing that long against Agassi, that's different from playing against anybody else. Porsche radar gun 115, that one. He takes the ball so early, he moves you around. Physically very demanding.
game, Martin, first game.
It is not easy to take out Sampras and Agassi in the same tournament. This never happened in the Slam, as we said, but for those of you who watch us a lot, you know that it did happen, and not so long ago, Patrick.
That's right. It was Gustavo Kuerten, and not only an incredible accomplishment just to do it, period, but to do it to get to #1 in the world. This is at the Tennis Masters Cup in Lisbon at the end of the year, and here was break point against Sampras. Kuerten goes on to beat Sampras in 3 sets. Then he plays Agassi in the final. Look at this angle from Kuerten here. He played just on another planet in this match, beating Agassi in straight sets. So he beats them both back-to-back, and he finishes 2000 as the first South American to ever finish #1 in the world.
It was a beautiful story. Todd Martin winning the first game, first point rather, of the second game.
Even more important for Martin is the first set here than necessarily is for Agassi, because if Martin can get on top of Agassi and make him feel some pressure with good serving and attacking Agassi's second serve, oh, beautifully done. Oh, Agassi's got it.
Got to it.
I shouldn't talk too quickly. Tell me to shut up, Cliff. What a runner there.
I didn't think he was going to make it get there. Look at this.
Look at the anticipation, though, from Andre. He saw that Todd was going for the drop volley, and he took off on his horse. Oh, that is so beautifully done there.
30-15.
He just loves it, Cliff. He just wants to keep running. He eats it up now.
You're watching live coverage, everyone, of the Australian Open. It's the Grand Slam #1 of the year. We're in Melbourne at Melbourne Park. Cliff Drysdale, Patrick McEnroe alongside. Now, Andre Agassi on court against Todd Martin, both of the USA first game. Going to Todd Martin on serve. This is Agassi's best of 5. This is game 2. Best of 5 set match for a place in the last 4. Long, and that is game Agassi, 1 apiece. Monica Seles going down to Jennifer Capriati in the first singles match on Rod Laver Arena. Terrific comeback there by Capriati.
One thing I noticed in that first game from Andre Agassi, in the middle of that game, 3 consecutive first serves were under 100 miles an hour, which tells me that he's thinking more about a high percentage first serve as opposed to getting a lot of free points with his first serve with an ace or service winner. That's also going to limit what Todd can do by taking advantage of Andre's second serve.
15.
Yeah, I think you're right, Mel. I think it's also a strategy that Agassi using now. As you see that one, 185 kilometers, which is 115 on the miles per hour. But Agassi preparing now, for potentially a long match, because if it obviously gets later in the match, you might see him start to go for some bigger serves. But he's trying to work the points now and not let Martin get on top of him. So a good strategy for, if it was a best of 3 set match, he might not do that, because it's a little bit different. Best of 5, it's going to be a long match. You try to wear the guy out from the Agassi standpoint. So it's an interesting strategy difference that you would employ in a best of 5 set match that you might not use in a 3-setter.
Oh, that looked pretty good to me, and Todd Martin doesn't like the call. I chuckle always, Patrick, when you talk about what it's like to play against Agassi, because I know you have, and I know how much you respect what he does to you on the court. Connors used to do the same thing to me. So I know exactly what you're talking about. He hits the ball flat, he keeps you going from side to side, and it takes a tremendous amount of energy. So where you can last 3 sets with a mundane player against Agassi, 3 hours with Agassi, it'd take you about 30 minutes and you're in trouble with him.
Well, that's a difference also in the mindset of Todd Martin coming into this match, because he knew going into playing Pete Sampras that he was going to have to serve big, return well, and actually, try to attack against Pete. But he also knew that he wasn't going to get worn down physically. Obviously, Pete can step his game up when he needs to and hit the big aces. So Todd starting out just as he would have liked, though. Some great serving, very accurate, And already 5 aces for Todd Martin.
This is the Australian Open. We're on serve first set. It is a beautiful country, as you well know. This is Australia. On ESPN.com as well.
That's too long, that 2 weeks in between. I just got to get him 1 week. Let's get it on. Too long. I feel like it's been too long since the last football game, since the old New York Giants.
And we will be watching it from some airline lounge on
That's
the Monday morning.
We'll only get probably the first half. We usually get about the first half before we have to get on the plane coming back. Don't they think about us, Cliff, when they do the Super Bowl schedule? In the second week of the Australian, we could sit there Monday morning, have a nice, relaxing day, watch the Super Bowl.
But the worst part, if you're on a Qantas flight, they don't give you the scores as it happens.
It's not a bad weekend, though, back in the States. You get the women's final Friday night, the men's final Saturday night from here in Australia, and then the Super Bowl Sunday.
14.
There's Agassi's first ace, the first time he's unloaded on a first serve, and he does that because it's 30 love. Tries to get a cheap point, keep Martin honest.
Game point, and another one. 2-all. This the player's favorite tournament, Patrick?
I think so. I mean,
it's the favorite of the Slam, I think.
Yeah, I think it is, because it's so easy to get around. You talked about how close it is to downtown. You're getting in and out of the site, to the practice courts. It's almost like, feels like an intimate sort of tournament. And obviously when you're in New York, Paris, London, I mean, it's crazy, it's wild. Getting there is a hassle.
Exactly.
And the fans here are just fantastic. Todd Martin, really like to keep those numbers around there. 11 service points, 7 unreturnables.
15.
He has started out serving really brilliantly. And I think, as Mal was pointing out, that's what he needs to keep doing. Agassi returned that ball, Patrick, albeit that it was out. I mean, that's how quick he is to get to the serve.
Todd Martin is hitting the ball so cleanly off the ground in this tournament. Anytime he gets in position and can get a good look, a good crack at the ball, he's been doing damage. I watched obviously a lot of Todd Martin's matches here, but in his first round he played Byron Black. As we see, a good second serve here sets up the backhand winner, but he played Byron Black on an outside court. And the conditions, Cliff, out on the outside courts from inside this stadium, obviously the Rod Laver Arena and even the Vodafone, it's almost like a completely different tournament. It's so different.
Oh, that's good volleying.
Coverage there from Martin, so crisp.
Is this the atmosphere you're talking about, or the surface?
I'm gonna get to it, because I know we're about to show a replay here. And there's a crisp forehand volley, and Martin with good coverage. The difference is that, first of all, if there's any sort of wind, you feel it so much in the outside courts of wind. Here it's enclosed, and also the speed of the court seems a lot different. I'm not sure if it is, but because it's everyone's so much closer to the court. Here you have the big stadium. It seems like you have more time on all your shots. And Martin actually came out early yesterday, before the matches started, so he could hit on this court, because he hadn't played a match on the Rod Laver Arena.
Game point.
40-30.
Patrick has been watching, for you at home who are listening to us, a lot of outside court matches, because he is the Davis Cup captain, the new U.S. Davis Cup captain. It's part of the job now.
Are you saying I wasn't doing that before as part of my television commitments?
Exactly what I'm saying. You used to stand around and hassle me.
Oh, I'm still going to do that. You should be out there scouting all the players out, too. Double fault there from Martin. That's his second. And now Agassi clawing his way back to deuce in this game.
They've played 17 times, these two. He showed you what their head-to-head was. Martin's played 20 times against Sampras. Yeah, that's good serving. Losing record against both of them, obviously, but my point is that he's sort of the same era.
Look at that. I mean, this guy's, I call his serve the leaner. He leans into it with that big frame, 123. Never overpowering you, but good pace and just perfect placement. Oh, yeah, you just can't give Agassi another look. Martin said, yup, he knew it right away. Agassi fought off that first serve, got the return down low, and then Martin, he tried to hit a big shot there, but he just couldn't quite get it out of the range. And, oh, is Agassi deadly. Look at that balance. Look at those strong legs.
Watch the leaner here. He's at full stretch when he hits it.
Trying to mix it up on Agassi.
Deuce.
You'll see a lot of that on the second serve, I think, from Martin. That serve right into the body, the jammer. Be a little more successful, Cliff, if you can get that jammer in the forehand side, because with the two-handed backhand, it's a little easier to get out of the way. You like that jammer, huh?
Yeah.
The leaner, the jammer.
The leaner, the jammer, the eyedropper. Game point, Martin.
This is the quarterfinals, Cliff. We're bringing them all out for this.
Martin holds on. It has been a struggle, but he has not lost his serve yet. In fact, he hasn't faced a break point. Neither player has. 3-2 on serve. Andre Agassi had a great 99, didn't he? That was the year that he won the French Championships, gets to the final of Wimbledon, and then this, Patrick.
U.S. Open final against Todd Martin, who have had some of those marathon wins. Agassi's fitness proved to be the telling sign in that one, as Agassi came back from 2 sets to 1 down and really wore Martin down in that 5th set, 6-2 in the 5th.
Same matchup here in the quarterfinals of this Australian. Agassi then went on to win the next Australian, which was the last one. So he's the defending champion here.
Well, that's the reason why Mal was pointing out that Agassi was mostly spinning the first serve in, at least in his first service game, because Martin, he's almost as effective as Agassi in returning second serves. That's where Martin, that's why Agassi there spins the first serve in, and then he's able to move Martin around the baseline. Todd's not going to win too many of those points. 38-4 in his last 8 slams. And the 3 titles that we told you about. Looking for his second. I say looking for a second Australian in that run, but of course he's won it twice total before Agassi.
Well, there are only 1, 2, 3, 4 other guys who have won all 4, and that was Emerson, Lever, Fred Perry, and Don Budge at any time. Nice thing to have in your resume, isn't it?
Yeah, not too bad. It's a good, solid hitting from Martin there. Just got to keep trying to hit it flat, not spin it around too much, not open the court. Let Agassi open up the court. Here comes a chance now for Martin. His first real look. Try to get a break point at 2-3, 30 all, second serve. That's good second serve from Andre there. Good depth on that. He directed it to the Martin forehand side. And then he's just, that's a safe shot for Agassi. A lot of cover on that ball. Man, I was out on the indoor courts this morning, and Agassi came out with his coach, Brad Gilbert. I mean, from the first ball, I mean, it's just Mach 10. I said, Gilbert, how does he handle that? He's hitting for 20 minutes a day with Agassi and keeps Brad in excellent shape.
That's wide. Deuce.
Deuce.
It's Agassi's favorite play, especially on this surface where he can really work the corners with his serve. Use the kick in the ad court, that slice in the deuce court, and then get his opponent on the run.
Okay, Agassi.
Agassi holds on. We are even 3 apiece. Kornikova and Davenport tonight. And they're looking for her first title, but Davenport is the defending champ. The last time they played was in San Diego, won by Kornikova 7-5 in the third. You can see that tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. on ESPN. Kornikova, Davenport. For a date with Jennifer Capriati.
15.
Again, the coverage from Agassi. He knows that on this surface, if he can get the ball down at the feet of Martin, then he'll probably get another look. And that's why this one, he just gets it down low. Even if Todd had made this shot, Agassi would have had a pretty good look at the pass. Love 30. Oh, beautiful shot there. Agassi trying to mix it up a little bit. Not a bad idea, but it's hard to get the ball out of the strike zone of big Todd Martin, and especially on that two-hander. He just leaned on this one. Look at this. Agassi tries to get it up on him, but Todd takes it on the rise, goes behind Agassi. It's a gutsy shot, though, at love 30 down.
15-30. Yeah, Martin's got to be careful of that big serve down the forehand side, Patrick, because Agassi's waiting for it now. He was sure on top of that one in a hurry.
Yeah, you're right, Cliff. He started to look for that one. He's been going predominantly to the Agassi forehand side, and Andre's been sitting on it in this game.
Break points, the first chance for either player in this set. Incredibly quick, Andre Agassi gets to the first break of the match. He leads by 4-3. They'll take a break. We'll join him. We're live down under in Australia. Terrific. It's a beautiful city. Great food here. Outstanding hotels within walking distance, really. He was runner-up at that year's Australian and then runner-up again at the '99 U.S. Open. That's the best he's done at the Slams. When do you have to announce your Davis Cup team, Patrick?
10 days before the match. That would be a week from, well, a week from today. A week from, we're back in America, a week from tomorrow.
I guess Todd Martin's a no-brainer for the team. 15 all.
Yeah, Todd Martin, I think he can pretty much book his ticket to Basel. As you see this good attacking play again. Martin now at love 30 now.
Excuse me, love 30. Thank you. Chance for Martin. Down a break.
Oh, wow, what a return game here. Absolutely mauling this second serve from Agassi. Look at Martin, it's just perfect timing. Right back in Agassi's face here at love 40. Get back on serve. Once Agassi, Cliff, gets you on the move, he just doesn't let up. Once he gets you stretched out wide, it's a lot of players you think you can, well, I could play a little defense, I can get back in the point, but Agassi just keeps bringing you out wide.
Still break point there, a couple more for Martin.
Okay, 40.
Wow, that's a confident play. I mean, we're down break point, second serve. You know you got one of the best returners out there looking to attack that second, and Agassi goes for it up the middle.
And he's flying when he hits this forehand.
Yeah,
just look at this.
Yeah, he's not saying, oh, I better make this shot. I just picked my target. I mean, he just says, I'm going to unload on this.
Deuce. This is a big game here now for Martin because he had his chances.
Oh, yes. Moved away from that body serve well. And Agassi didn't get enough depth on it. It's so interesting, the margin from these two players. See how short that was? That makes all the difference when you got two guys playing at this level. If you don't hit that second serve perfectly, you're going to pay the price.
That's out.
Wow, Agassi just backed off for one split second in that point on that forehand. He didn't quite go for it. When Martin took advantage. Excuse me, Cliff.
When you talk about this level, Patrick, just take a look at the winners versus the errors in this match. 10 winners for Agassi against 5 unforced errors, 14 for Martin against 8. Those are serious numbers.
Yeah, well, these are serious players here playing at a seriously high level. Well, that's why Martin got broken in the last game. He didn't win any free points on his serve. He needs two at least a game. Otherwise, Agassi is going to keep the pressure on his service games.
4 games all.
There's one there. Agassi looking for a call, but not going to get it. Seventh ace for Todd.
A second serve leaner.
That's right. He did lean on that. Slid it right up the tee. perfect conditions right now. Not a stitch of wind. Not too hot. Well, maybe our man Mal down there might disagree because he's got his
right.
he's got his tie on.
Speak for yourself, Patrick.
Again, the serve out wide, and Martin has a chance to play the volley. He's been deadly. Great technique, keeps that racket head up and firm. There's Martin when he comes in. See, on the serve volley, he's not particularly effective at all. But when he comes in off the return or from the baseline, he's much more. It's because his movement, Cliff, he's not obviously that agile around the net. And
pointing to a mark there that he thought was the one. I'm not sure.
no, it looked like it dropped in.
Yeah, I thought so too. Here it is again. Yeah, it was clearly in. He was up in his last serve game that he lost. So when you've got Agassi down, you've really got to try to put him away.
Second service.
Because he can jump on you in a hurry. Game point. Drop shot, clean winner.
Didn't expect that. And a few times we've seen Agassi on the run. Look at him going coast to coast there, well outside the doubles line. And then he comes up with this little dropper. Looked like old drop shot from his girlfriend, old Steffi. Used to play that nice little backhand dropper. There's the leaner again, though.
The leaner holds on, and it is 5 games to 4. Martin Agassi will serve. We are live down under at Melbourne Park. Andre Agassi came down here last year to Australia and won the title, so he is the defending champion.
For me, being the defending champion means you won, means you played well here, and for my confidence, I think that only helps. At some stage, you stop thinking about defending and the pressure of it, and you start going, wow, I mean, to win here, you got to play well, and I can do it because I've done it before, and I think we've seen that with Kafelnikov too. Here's a guy who's probably 23-1 over the last 3 years here, and he just comes here and plays well. And I like these courts, these conditions, and I'm using it as an asset for sure.
He's a very, Agassi, for whatever you think about him, he's a very thoughtful and a very smart man. Another quote from him: I wanted to be great every time I played. I could never accept less than a perfect standard. When I was failing, I felt like I had no chance of living up to expectations. Some more. The only way I could deal with it was the same way I dealt with everything when I was a kid, which was to rebel and forget the whole thing. Which to me, Patrick, explains why he has had such a roller coaster career.
Yeah, because when he would struggle, he would just almost sort of bag it, throw in the towel. It would be easier for him to deal with. But now that, you know, I think he appreciates what he has, his talent, a lot more.
15-all.
He also realizes now over the years that no matter how good you are, and he's certainly one of the best ever, that, you know, there are guys out there that they get hot and play well that can beat you. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you did anything wrong. You see Agassi dominating most of the baseline rallies. Oh, yes. Agassi picking his spot so well
40-15.
in these rallies. You see Martin leaning that time, looking for the backhand cross court, and then at the last second, Agassi just measured it up the line. Game points to even the set at 5.
Oh, that is solid play. Well played, both guys. Good anticipation there for Martin. He knew where Agassi had to go on the pass and covered it here. This one.
Game Agassi. 5 games on.
Five games all now. One of the few lazy-looking returns there, as you see Brad Gilbert, the longtime coach now of Andre Agassi. A big serve from Martin there, his 9th ace. Appears to be in a pretty good rhythm, doesn't he, Mal, your buddy from Ponte Vedra down there?
Well, if he keeps serving like this with this many aces, I mean, it's going to, throughout the course of this match, be continually harder and harder to break Todd's serve. But as long as his percentage stays up high, he's going to continue to have success.
Well, he's just over 60% now, Mal. Martin, 61% of first serves in play. Of course, we jinx him there. He's actually doing well in his second serve points, which is surprising. He's won half of those. That's his 3rd double. 5 all, 15 all, first set.
Well, coming into this match, he was, for the championship, 56% of second serve points won. Todd Martin was.
Yeah, if he could have that number against Agassi, he'd have an excellent shot.
Pressure now on Todd Martin at 5 all, 15-30. He has lost his serve from that side already in the set, but he broke back.
That's trouble there for Martin. Even that second serve was a subtle sign of desperation there. Martin really nailed that second serve, and then this drop shot, he didn't expect Agassi to get such good wood on that return, which Agassi did.
Break points for Agassi. Yeah, well, he got that one out of reach, and that's not easy to do. And as you've been pointing out, Patrick, that's what the pressure is all about on this game of Todd Martin, because he knows if he doesn't hit a perfect shot, Agassi is so quick that he can track him down. Still break point Agassi. the break. Agassi in the lead again. He will serve for the first set of this men's quarterfinal at the Australian Open.
Back live here, Cliff. The first point of the 12th game. Agassi serving for the first set. And a top spin lob winner there from Agassi. Martin gets in here, but doesn't do enough with that volley. And that's just easy pickings for Andre. 15-love.
Well, Patrick, I know you saw some of that women's singles. That was a heck of an effort from Capriati.
It was. I mean, she really looked good, especially in the third set. You know, they'd had a lot of tough, long rallies. She was really covering the court well and
showing no signs of fatigue.
And hitting the ball very cleanly. She's going to be a difficult opponent for Lindsay if Lindsay gets by Kornikova.
Big serve, Agassi, 30-15, 2 points away from the first set. This is best of 5 quarterfinals. The men's singles. Agassi was supposed to play Pete Sampras if the seeded players had gone according to plan. Didn't work out that way, though.
Well, you can see that he already has as many unforced errors in this first set against Agassi as Martin had in the entire match against Pete Sampras. And that's just because of the matchup, because of who this guy is. Agassi makes you hit so many winners. A different matchup for Martin against Sampras. And now 2 set points for Agassi here. Set number 1.
First set to Agassi. We'll take a break. We'll come back with our continuing live coverage of the Australian Open men's quarterfinals. Basically. So I bristled at the thought that she, you know, hasn't won a single. So what? She's still a great player.
Second set, Martin to serve.
Second set underway, first set to Agassi.
Love 15.
Love 15. Mal, you were talking earlier about how important it was for Todd Martin to get off to a good start here. The longer the match goes, tougher on him. So that first set was not good news, was it?
Well, I think he actually played a, yes, it's not good news, but I think he actually played a pretty good first set. Unfortunately for him, he got broken 2 times. If throughout the course of the rest of this match, Todd gets broken more than 1 time a set, he's not going to win this match because you can't give Andre Agassi a break that many times.
15-30, first game, second set. Yeah, that's returned, drops in. Mal, could you fault your friend Todd for anything he did in the first set?
No, not really. I mean, he throughout the whole first set, he served good. He had 9 aces in the first set, which I think is the fact that he had 9 aces and lost the set 7-5. That doesn't bode very well for him because I'm wondering, can he average 9 aces a set throughout the rest of this match? Probably not.
First service.
I kind of thought you were going to say that, Mal. I agree with you. I don't know, he could have played it much better than he did.
I mean, you just give Andre Agassi a little bit of an opening, and he's usually able to take advantage of it.
Break point. Good play, and it is still break point, 30-40.
And Andre Agassi has an opening here with another break point. Last thing Todd wants to do is get down an early break because Andre better than any other player on the tour right now. When he gets that lead, he can get on a roll and things can start snowballing for you. And Todd can be out of here maybe in an hour and a half.
That's a great serve right into the body.
That body serve is actually a serve not used, I don't think, as effectively as most players can use it. The Porsche radar gun 115 miles an hour.
Advantage, Martin.
Tell you what, he served well to get out of this one. He's not out of it yet, but this is game point for Martin. Got it. That's very nice stuff from Martin there. He was in trouble, but he came back and held on 4 straight points to win the first game. 1 in sets to Agassi, 1 in games to Martin. Agassi to serve in the second.
See if Todd Martin can build on that hold of serve he just had, down a couple of break points, pulls out the game. Maybe he can get a little bit of momentum early in the second.
Well, he says that the defining matches of his career were that one that you remember, I know, as you watched this replay against Patrick Rafter in Davis Cup in Boston. It's Todd Martin I'm talking about, and the other one was against Greg Ruzetsky at the U.S. Open the year before, when one of them he won, obviously, the one against Ruzetsky. He lost the one to Patrick Rafter, but he said in both of those matches he felt like he competed as well as he could.
Well, I think most players can probably pick 1 or 2 matches each year that makes a big difference, whether it's coming from behind from 2 sets to love and then going on and doing so well at the U.S. Open like Todd did against Ruzetsky.
Game Agassi, 1 game.
Easy game for Agassi, 1 game all.
But most players can point to a couple of matches that really make a difference. And I think a match like this for Todd could make not only a big difference in his year, but really in his career, because Todd winning this match here today, it's going to mean a lot more to him than it's going to mean to Andre.
You remember that Rafter match, though? He was sick before, you know, that whole controversy about whether he should play or shouldn't play, and Captain Gullickson was, in a way, hoping that he wouldn't be able to play.
I remember it so well because I was there courtside.
Yeah, I know. And he played a beautiful match that day.
And I literally thought Todd Martin would not be able to finish that match just from the look on his face, because you knew that physically he should not have been out on the court, but he gave a grave effort in going to 5 sets.
Oh. 15 love, 1 game all, second set.
Starting off.
He's a tall guy, Todd Martin, and overhead, he has been really good today. First serve percentage, 60%.
Oh. 30-15.
Once again, a little more trouble for Todd Martin on his serve. I had mentioned in the last game, it's tough to give Andre openings like this, and
keep holding serve.
Oh, that's very sweet. Big forehand, clean winner. At 1 game all in the second, Martin now at game point.
Problem, Cliff, now is that Martin's having to work maybe just a little bit too hard to win these points on his serve.
He had to work hard to win the first serve game of the second set.
22 winners for both players. But Agassi with only 6 unforced errors. Martin with 15.
40-30. Use.
Good solid return from Agassi. Every point that Agassi can make Martin work a little bit more, have to stretch up a net down the road, that will all pay off for Agassi.
Advantage, Martin.
Escaped a little trap there, Martin. Agassi not quite quick enough to reposition himself for the pass.
Still rare that Martin puts together those serve volley points that are effective. And that time was on a second serve.
That is long. What is it? I thought that stat was interesting, Patrick. What does it mean that he's less effective on the serve and volley than he is like on the approach and volley? Should he should he give a weight on the serve and volley?
He should do it just a couple of times. The reason is because he doesn't have the agility to handle the returns of Agassi. He's a big guy. He can obviously win a lot of free points with his serve.
Like that?
Like that, and he's obviously a good volleyer, but he's more effective when he can attack off the ground, especially off that second serve return, because he can flatten the ball out and maybe get Agassi out of position a little more. 124 on the Porsche radar gun. See where his aces have come. Most of them same spot as that last one. Deuce court up the middle.
It's a nice graphic, that.
Martin's not going to win too many points where he really has to be stretch or be agile around the net, like, say, Patrick Rafter.
Use.
See, this is all positive points here for Agassi, making Martin work, keeping him back. Only an hour of play, but a very, as often it is when you play Agassi, a very tough, very demanding hour for Todd Martin. So that time Martin at least able to get a pretty good look at that volley. We'll to attack it, but Agassi even ticked off at himself. He had a pretty decent look at that pass. And I think some of that has to do, Cliff, that stat with the court, you know, being as slow as it is. It's not often on this court that a chip and charge will work like it does at the U.S. Open, where the ball really skids through the court. Here you have to more hit the ball, attack it, hit it through the court to get your opponent out of position or to make him hit a tough pass.
Boy, hits that one beautifully. Just threads the needle on the two-handed backhand down the line. Clean winner. We're in Australia, everyone, and you're looking at Rock Valley. It's in the Kakadu National Park. It's Crocodile Dundee country, Northern Territories. Bye. See you in a minute. From Melbourne Park in Melbourne, Australia, everyone, you're watching the Australian Open. It's men's singles quarterfinals day today. Andre Agassi now playing against Todd Martin for a place in the last four. Agassi won the first set 7-5. It's 2-1. Martin leading on serve. Martin has struggled here in the second set, but has been able to hold on. Cliff Drysdale here. Patrick McEnroe is alongside, and Mel Washington is at courtside. Earlier today in the women's singles, Monica Seles going down to Jennifer Capriati during our live coverage. We are live now with Agassi serving at 1-2.
Just hitting, excuse me, midnight in the East Coast to the U.S. and 9 p.m. obviously in the West Coast, and it is 4 p.m. in the afternoon here in Australia, Tuesday afternoon. Todd Martin, one of the most consistent players in his career. Well, he dropped a little bit last year, but most of that because of how much time he missed because of injuries and because he got married. The same thing actually happened in '97. Martin trying to show his finesse there, his feel.
After the Australian Open last year, he suffered torn ligaments in his left ankle. He was playing basketball with his coach, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Dean Goldfein, his coach, yeah.
So he was off the tour for 3 months.
I think he came back until towards the end of the clay court season, Cliff.
Yeah.
I think Todd will keep his off-court sports to maybe golf. You know, as his coach, Dean Goldfein, always taking down notes after each point.
He's the culprit.
Yeah. He then hurt his ankle badly, I think, doing the same thing. There's his new wife,
Amy.
Amy here. Married in December.
Deuce.
I don't know if you guys remember, but that's not the first time Todd has hurt his ankle playing basketball. A couple of years ago, right before he went to India to play Davis Cup at the Lipton, which is now the Ericsson Open, he hurt his ankle playing basketball.
Well, Agassi able to pick his game up at the big point. Martin fighting his way to deuce, and
Advantage Agassi.
it's like Agassi flicks a switch on and just hits his ground strokes a little bit cleaner, a little closer to the lines.
Game point Agassi. Agassi holds on. I'm watching this winners versus unforced errors column, Patrick, 23-7. It's an amazing number there for Agassi. 2 games all. And as the players go to the sideline, you guys were talking about golf here just a second ago, and Todd Martin claims to be a 2 handicap, and I'm sure he is. I was reading the paper this morning, a notice here from Jack Nicklaus dropping hints that he will probably not play the Masters and the US Open and PGA Championships next year, the majors, he says, unless he really starts to play a lot better. Jack has got 4 grass tennis courts at his house and a clay court.
And you've played there, right, Cliff?
Yeah, but he loves to play. He's got to play less tennis and more golf, otherwise he's retiring.
You see the winners to errors. Look at those numbers for Agassi. It's so impressive. Martin holding up the new balls to Andre.
2 games all, second set.
Well, if Agassi doesn't connect cleanly on that wide return, that gives Martin a couple of options. That time he goes behind Agassi.
Oh, that's a great shot from Martin. He played beautifully the other night against Sampras, and he is trying, as we said earlier in this match, as you watch the replay again here, trying to beat Sampras and Agassi in turn. And it's never been done in the Grand Slam before.
Happened 9 times, too, where players have beaten one and then lost to the other.
30 love.
Off. Yeah, Martin.
Easy game for Martin, and he leads by 3 games to 2 on serve, second set. He lost the first. Round of 16, Pete Sampras taking on Todd Martin in the last round, and it was a tremendous day. And you saw this whole match, Patrick. Really, he was lethal in the last 3 sets. Here was Sampras in the first, but then Todd Martin turned it around on him.
I mean, Sampras didn't play poorly, but he just didn't have quite that zip in his step, and Martin matched him throughout the match. And then, I mean, great passing shots from Todd. He served very well. He played the big points extremely well, and then he wrapped it up. You know, it was really the first time, well, not the first time, but it was Todd stepping up and really beating one of the big boys in a Grand Slam the way he did so convincingly. There have been times in his career and we've seen Todd back off a little bit when he's got to that crucial stage of the match, but he went for it in that one. He's continued to go for it today against Agassi. Sorry you practiced.
I'm not sure that you could fault him with anything that he's done in the match so far.
I don't think so. I think, guys, look at this one. I like this. It's the old butts up. That's funny. No, you can't. You can't fault his try. Even Andre gets a giggle out of that. You know, you look at the head-to-head of Todd against both Pete and Andre, and it's not great. I mean, it's now 17-3 against Pete, so it's certainly not great there. But for the conditions here, I think it gives Todd a little better chance maybe against Pete on this surface.
Yeah, Agassi.
Especially over the course of 5 sets. This court's a little bit slower. The ball sits up, as I've talked about. And Martin has played at a very high level so far in this match just to stay close with Agassi.
And it has been close. 7-5 in the first set. They traded breaks, and then Agassi got the break. Now it's 3-all.
Agassi Agassi just reading that serve out wide at full stretch, able to connect and guide it up the line. And 5 break point opportunities for Agassi, 4 for Martin. Obviously the one more break for Agassi in that first set to win it.
Oh, that's a great topspin lob there. Martin's tall, as we said, and even he couldn't get to that one. Just out of reach. Love 30. Watch out. Big point coming up. 3-all. You know, Patrick, even if Martin gets his first serve in, he wins, let's say, 60% of the points.
Yep.
It's not a lot.
No, it's not. And Agassi here, I mean, he just has so many weapons in his arsenal. He can pick his targets. There's no shot that Agassi can hit with consistency. You know, some guys you say, well, they go up the line on the pass all the time. Sometimes guys, they're going to go cross-court on the running four, and Agassi can do everything.
Game Agassi.
Agassi gets the first break of the second set. He leads 4-3. He'll serve, and we come back. We're live in Melbourne.
.com too. A few chat sessions. You've been in there, Mal, Pam, Mary Jo. I think I had one, but before the tournament I had one.
15 long.
You haven't done one since you've been here?
I did one actually on my way here. I was at the airport. I did one. On return serves for Agassi. Hitting the corners very well, each corner. That's a good number for Agassi. 17 unreturnable serves. Of course, he's not going to hit that many aces, only 5.
Well, the point about the unreturnable is as good as an ace.
Yep.
15.
4-3 Agassi. He has the break. He's serving, and he's won the first set.
15.
Unreturnable right there.
The late night match here will be between Patrick Rafter and Dominique Herbadi. Who are you going for in that one, Patrick?
I'm going to go out on a limb for Patrick Rafter in that one.
Okay.
You're not going to go for her body.
No, but maybe Mel will take the bait.
How about you, Mel?
No, I'm going with Patrick Rafter.
Yeah, there we go.
It's all of you guys. No guts. No guts, no glory. Game point Agassi.
Oh, again, pinpoint accuracy from...
Yep, that's a hot volley from the baseline.
Yeah, that's routine for him. The A-train is, I think it's no longer making local stops now. It's in the express mode. 7-5, 5-3 now.
Todd Martin has been in 2 finals. Our body semi-final finish is his best ever. Arnaud Clément and Sébastien Grosjean. Arnaud Hu and Sébastien Hu, they're both from France, those 2 guys, and they're both diminutive, relatively speaking. I mean, they're both shorter than, let's say, Lindsay Davenport or Venus Williams, for example.
Yes, they move pretty well, though.
They move very well, and it's nice to see for the French, but they are as nonplussed as everybody else about how well these 2 kids are doing, and it's nice to see. This is Agassi Martin, the winner to play Rafter or Herbadi, and in the other section it's Clément against Kafelnikov and Grosjean against Carlos Moya from Spain.
15.
Martin starting to press a little bit more now. He really has to continue to do that, though, Cliff. He has to continue to just hit out, make a few unforced errors, and try to hit winners and try to put Agassi on the defensive. Yeah.
You say that, and then he hits a great serve, and he's on the defensive.
Target practice now for Agassi. Martin, watch, a little bit slow to react to this one right here, and he has it full stretch, and then you could kiss this one goodbye. Agassi with that picture-perfect setup technique, following through with the lower body there. Even that's a bad sign there on that miss. It was a great body serve, and Agassi just sort of leans out of the way. Not even that he gets it back, but that he hits it right in the center of the racket. Yep, Martin sort of can sense that. Throws in his 5th double fault, and now 3-set points for a 2-set lead for Agassi.
One of the problems for Todd Martin is prior to that double fault is the last 6 points on his serve dating back to the last game. Andre has gotten the return back in the court, so Todd has not gotten any free points on his serve.
Oh, baby, look at that. Excuse me. It's 2 sets to love, and the A train is steaming. 7-5, 6-3. Back in a minute. We're live in Australia. It's Agassi and Martin in the quarterfinal of the men's singles. Agassi now really playing beautifully. Won the first set. It was a tight one, 7-5, and then in the second set he really rolled 6 games to 3. Third set coming your way from the Laver Arena. This is live coverage of the quarterfinal of the men's. There's a look at Andre Agassi and Todd Martin, both of the USA, the only 2 American players left in this field actually. He's done it 7 times before, I'll say that for Todd Martin, and he is a scrappy fighter, so it is not over yet, but that's only one side of the story. He's never done it against Agassi, and the way that Agassi played that second set, you would not believe that he could come back today.
Third set.
Well, speaking of how he played that second set, Cliff, I mean, we're talking about the unforced errors from Agassi. Well, we're talking about how great the numbers were in the first set.
Oh, talk to me.
Well, he made 6 unforced in the first set, which of course was a long set, 7-5. As you see this replay, just measuring the ball. Second set for Agassi. Talk about tightening your game up even more. 2 unforced errors in set number 2.
No. 30 love.
30 love.
Gil Reyes is Andre Agassi's strength coach, and when his daughter graduated from high school, Agassi insisted on paying for the limousine for the senior prom, but it wasn't all on prom night. The car pulls up in front of Reyes' front door. The driver steps out in a black suit and cap. Agassi drove him around all night.
I love that. He takes care of the people that are close to him, that's for sure. They're more than just trainer and athlete, much more.
Game. Agassi, first game, third set.
Agassi easily first game, third set, and 2 sets to none. Tonight here at Konikova, Russia taking on American Lindsay Davenport, the number 2 seed. You can see that match at 1 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN on Tuesday, and it is going to be a very interesting match. I should remind you again that the last time they played, Konikova beat Davenport. That was in California. Just before, that was one of the warm-up tournaments for the US Open. About 7-5 in the third, that was.
Steen Coldfine, Martin's coach, and his Todd's new wife, Amy. Oh, yes. Clean backhand up the line there.
15 love.
Think about that match tonight, Australia time, Cliff. Konikova, Davenport. We picked the men's match. Well, you didn't pick, as usual. You never do.
No, that's not true.
Sit on that fence.
No, the problem is this. Everybody's going for rafter. So I'm up there and we're doing this thing at Channel 7, getting a little makeup put on. And, you know, we've all got to go there and put, you know, $1 a day on this thing. And I have to go for our buddy, but I'm getting 2 to 1.
Okay.
So I'm going for her buddy, but I did talk him into 2 to 1. But I'm not going to be talking to going for Kornikova.
Okay.
Lindsay's playing too well. 30-15.
That last return that Agassi missed, that's the first free point that Todd has gotten on his serve in the last 10 points, dating back to 3 service games ago.
40-15.
It's a very good point, Mal, and it just shows that, I mean, how tough it is to serve against Agassi, no matter how well you're serving, because Martin is not serving badly. Game point here for Martin.
Game, Martin, 1 game off.
No, I think if you told Martin that he'd have numbers after 2 sets that he has, Cliff, which is 12 aces, 5 doubles, a first serve percentage of 60%. Well, he, as Mal said, he probably would have liked that first serve percent a little bit higher. I think he's been around 65 for the tournament, but 60 is not bad. Just hasn't been good enough, though, against the best returner in the game. And the court doesn't help Todd as much on his serve as it does at Wimbledon or the U.S. Open, when the court's a little bit quicker, goes through the court more. Oh, see, that's just what takes it out of you there. That wide serve from Agassi, and then he gets you on the dead run. Martin really just has to go for that slap shot of a forehand there. Even if he gets it in the court, if he pushes it back, he'll just be on the run again. Here it is again. Yeah, see, even if he makes that backhand there, Agassi's going to make him run to the other side.
Talking about first serve percentages, check Agassi here, Patrick.
Ooh, that's not bad. 70%. And he's winning 87% of those points, and he's not doing it with aces. He's doing it with what we've seen in the last couple of points, the next shot.
If that drops in, baby. Long.
40-15.
40-15. 1-all. Third set, 2 sets to Agassi. Oh, yeah. I mean, that is the Punisher at work. 2-1 Agassi, 2 sets to none. We're live in Australia. This is nice work, everybody, and we are very much enjoying the Australian Open this year. Quarterfinal men's singles, Andre Agassi and Todd Martin. 2 sets to Agassi, 2 games to 1 on serve in the third. We will be staying with this match until it is over. Martin to Agassi, 1-2, third set.
No, 15.
Take a look at the Pacific Life match summary, which looks very good in terms of Agassi's performance.
Well, Martin's been broken 4 times. Look at those numbers for Agassi. That's just scary. 34 winners, 9 unforced. Agassi dominating the baseline rallies. You know what Agassi says, Cliff, and of course his coach Brad Gilbert say, you know, when Agassi takes care of his service games, when he holds serve, when he's getting a high percentage of first serves, as we have talked about that he has in this match, that's when he plays his best tennis. I mean, you know the return's going to be there, but when he's taking care of his serve, that means he's working his opponents over, he's breaking them down. Brad Gilbert has to be delighted with the way that Agassi's constructing his points, playing from the start of the match. We saw him in the beginning of this match. You see Steffi on the left there. Right from the first game, as Mal noticed right off the bat, Agassi took a little bit off his serve. He let the message be sent to Martin that I'm going to work you over early. I'm going to play long points. I'm committed now. And that commitment has, as this match has progressed, paid off more and more.
He can't play much better, can he? Break point. Top spin lob is
up, goes long.
Just long.
Quite get under it enough.
Talk, you know, when you say Steffi, it's like you assume that the whole world knows who it is, and actually they do. Sort of like saying Chris and Martina in the days when Navratilova and Everett used to play. It is, of course, Steffi Graf. She is Andre Agassi's girlfriend, and she, by many definitions, the best tennis player, female, that ever played.
Agassi's attempting to pick a moth up off the court. Having a little trouble there.
Second break point.
Use.
Martin saves it with his 13th ace. Just trying to hang on for dear life in the early stages of this third set.
Oh, that's a good volley, drop volley. Game point.
Well, the few times that Agassi really didn't go after that second serve of Todd Martin, and Todd cracked the backhand and hit a nice little carver.
Oh, that's long, and Agassi loses the game to Martin, and we are even. Yeah, it was a good comeback there for Todd. He desperately needs any which way he can now to hang on. It's not overstating the case, is it, Patrick, to say that Gil Reyes is largely responsible for Agassi's success, because he was not in great shape as a player for a long time, and now he's in perfect physical shape.
That's right. Well, Gil was working with the UNLV basketball team. This had been 10 years ago or so. And certainly he has worked so hard with Andre to get him in physically the condition that he's gotten in, especially the last couple of years. Obviously, when he had his great year in '99. But, you know, Andre has to want to do it. And sometimes, as we've seen, his head isn't there for, you know, a lot of different reasons. He's a sensitive guy. We saw last year with both his sister and his mother having health problems, and then those things really affect Andre as a person, and it's hard for him to separate those types of things from his professional responsibilities and keeping himself in that best possible shape, because he really has to be in that type of shape, Agassi, to play his best.
14.
Well, Gil gets him out on those hills out there in Vegas, though, running up those hills.
Game, Agassi.
Get him ready for this 2-week marathon here in Australia.
Look at it, it's hot out there, and he's walking. I mean, he's been out there a while, and it's just another day. Back in a minute. Welcome back to the Rod Laver Arena, named after maybe the greatest player that ever played. You're in the quarterfinals here of the men's singles for this year's first slam of the year, the Australian Open in Melbourne. Andre Agassi and Todd Martin. Agassi with 2 sets under his belt. He leads 3-2 on serve. He has had chances against Martin already in this 3rd set, but has not broken yet.
Oh, what an angle. Fairly competent first volley from Martin. I mean, against most players, it probably would have put him in decent position. Agassi just, I mean, the full swing, and he can get that type of angle, brushing under that ball. Amazing thing about Agassi, Cliff, one of the amazing things is how quickly he can accelerate his racket, even on those balls where he takes the pace off of the ball, like that last passing shot. I mean, there are so many players today, in fact, pretty much anyone in the men's tour that really can accelerate off the ground strokes and create a lot of power and hit big shots. Good, perfect spot for that serve as well, but there's not many that can take big swings and take the pace off of the ball the way Agassi can. Hit those topspin lobs. We've seen a couple of those today. That's just genius. That's just, you're born with that.
Actually, that topspin lob is my favorite shot to watch when just about anybody hits it.
Left. For service. .30.
Agassi just sort of continuing to hit Martin with body blows, you know, over the course of a 5-set match, or this one may very well be a 3-set match. Just making him work, making him bend, stretch. Good serving by Martin to hold on here.
3-all in the 3rd set, 2 sets to Agassi. It's just after 4:35 in the afternoon here in Melbourne. The draw has come out for tomorrow, and we can tell you that in our coverage tomorrow night, you will see Martina Hingis and Serena Williams. That's at 12:30 Eastern. That's 12:30 p.m. Eastern.
Again, Agassi using the serve to open the court up, which he's done so well. 2 court wide. That would be his 6th one out there. Well, that's out. These are unreturnables, 22. That's a good number for Agassi. And the aces, well, half of them coming up the middle in the deuce court. A few times that Martin's been able to really get Agassi on the defensive. Knocks off the easy overhead. Martin's got to take a chance here and rip this return.
No. Such a perfect example. He did rip the return, Patrick, and Agassi is basically there on the baseline. I've said this about him often before. That his dad, Mike, used to have him stay on the baseline, wouldn't let him, get any further back than the baseline. So he can hit a half volley from the baseline better than anybody alive. He hits the ball so early. He's got such good hands and eyes.
Up, just missing. Agassi pulling up just slightly on that forehand, and a couple of forehand errors in a row as Agassi thought he had the winner, but let's see if we can see it. Yep, just wide. Good call.
Break points.
30-40.
One thing you'll notice with that second serve that Agassi just hit out wide, I think the reason he'll go out wide on the due side especially is because that eliminates Todd from taking that second serve and trying to get in.
Wait, please.
Martin's got the break. First break of the third. He is down by 2 sets to none. But Todd Martin leads 4-3 in the third, and he'll serve. And we come back to our live coverage from Melbourne Park of this men's quarterfinal, the Australian Open. She is big down. Well, she's big everywhere, but she's especially big down here in Australia.
Now 15.
Todd Martin's net attack still not, excuse me, excellent percentages on the serve volley. Look at that off the returns, 8 of 10. He's been able to punish those second serves from Agassi and doing well when he gets in from the back as well. Love 15.
He's guided that one more than hit it, and it worked just fine. On the line, on the baseline there, and he has a chance to get right back.
Well, that's a good example of why Martin isn't that successful serving and volleying. He's someone like a Patrick Rafter who's so quick, would probably been able to get his racket on that volley. Just Martin, you know, doesn't move that quickly coming forward. When he has to change direction, he'll pick up the volley. He thought he had the ace there. Great speed from Agassi to run that one down. Martin kept cool, though, under pressure. He knew if he'd missed this, it would have been love 40. Great wheels from Agassi to dig that out. And Martin coolly goes behind Andre.
Immediate chance for Agassi to break back. He's just been broken. Broken twice all day. Once in the first set, once in the third, and he broke twice in the first to come back and win at 7-5.
This is his 10th break point opportunity for Agassi.
Good serve.
Yep, good depth on that serve. Agassi actually read it. He was leaning up the middle, but Martin had enough heat and enough depth on it to win a cheap point. He needs another cheap one here, because believe me, he's starting to wear down a little bit.
Agassi was right on that one. He knew he was going down the forehand side. He just stood there waiting for it.
4 games home.
Sports Center following this live tennis match from down under, and ask you to stay tuned for that. Sports Center up after tennis today. We will stay with this match obviously till it's concluded. 4 games all now in the third, 2 sets to Agassi.
Oh yeah, Agassi's ability to just come right back when he's at his best. His focus is there, his concentration. He steps up his game when he gets broken. And now he wants to finish Martin off right here, 109 on the Porsche radar gun. Oh yeah, Martin can't even make a move for that one. Agassi with that kicker out wide sets up to munch on that forehand. Look at this, steps into it. Martin says, all right, you've been hitting me in the body, too many body blows right now. I can't keep running out wide there.
Pretty wide serve there again to the forehand, and it is Game point for Agassi.
Agassi loves to hit those wide serves, Cliff, particularly as the match gets more physical, because it's so much tougher for a tired player.
So he beats him up first, and
Yep.
then he...
Well, then he keeps beating him up, and then I'm going to keep beating you up.
Game point. You make him sound like the Punisher, baby.
Well, that's what he is today. Well, that's a point Martin likes better. See, he's in the middle of the court. He's not stretched out wide. He can hit with Agassi from that part of the court.
Still game point Agassi at 4 apiece in the third set. 2 sets to Agassi.
Oh, it's good on the line. Yeah, Martin feeling the effects of that point, but
40.
we all know that Todd Martin's got so much heart, so much guts. He's not going to just go away because he's feeling a little bit fatigued now.
Yeah, you can say that again. He goes for a walkabout, as they say here in Australia, Patrick, but he comes back always, seems to be always ready. Maybe he looks tired, but don't be fooled. He doesn't go away. But he knew the minute that his racket made contact with that ball, it was going to sail, and it did. It's 5-4 for Agassi. He's 1 game away from a place in the last 4 at the Australian. At 1 o'clock Eastern Time.
Now 15.
Little walkabout that he goes on every time there for Martin, and he's just trying to gather himself, save some energy. Low 15. Nobody else who comes close to treating his first serve like that in tennis, is there, Patrick?
I don't think so. Not as consistently as certainly as Agassi does. And this was a rare miss on a mid-court ball for Andre.
15 all.
Another good solid return right at the feet of Martin. Not quite in as quickly as he needs to be. A little bit behind the service line when he attempted that volley.
2 points away for Agassi.
Well done there for Martin. Good attacking point there for Todd. Agassi on the run, and you don't see Agassi too often that far behind the baseline. Martin takes advantage with the open court volley.
30 all.
First service.
Agassi was leaning to that one up the middle. Now watch Agassi just before this serve from Martin. See if he leans one direction. Has to read that serve. He was sort of leaning to the middle. Martin just missed it wide, though.
Match point, that brings up 2 sets to Agassi. It's 5-4 leading in the second for Agassi, and this is break point. Listen to this crowd, they know it.
Use.
Oh, yes. Agassi opening up the court. The slice backhand from Martin's just not going to work against Agassi.
Another match point for Agassi. It's difficult to describe just how difficult it is to do what Agassi does so seemingly easily. Not that much margin for error on his shots, but the way he plays the game, it seems to be so safe. Match point.
That does it. What a way to finish it up for the A-Train.
Nice, very nice. Both players playing outstanding tennis. When you look at the stats, Patrick, I mean, that was a display for the ages from Agassi.
Only 14 unforced errors and a sort of fitting last point for Andre Agassi. Scrambling, fighting, clawing, and then coming up with a little bit of magic on that topspin lob.
Can you hear us above all of this noise, Mal? What are your thoughts?
Oh, my thoughts on this match, a lot was said in the first set. Todd Martin had 9 aces in the first set and still lost that set 7-5, and I don't think he was going to serve any better throughout the match than he did in that first set. But wow, all credit goes to Andre Agassi on both ends of the ball, while he was serving and while he was returning.
As you look at match point again, this is a terrific way to finish it, Patrick.
Yeah, scrambling Agassi there to get that one back. Look at the recovery, look at the quickness, and then look at the magic.
The magic of Andre Agassi. He's in the last 4 of the Australian. He's the defending champion. We'll be back live after this. Another outstanding display by Andre Agassi, and it looks for all the world, Patrick McEnroe, to me like he is back. I mean, really, because he won here last year. Since then, he has not played well. But everybody's been talking about how well he's played, and the punters, as they call them here, the bookies say that he's going to win the championship, and sure looks that way now.
Well, now he actually, of course, moves into the semifinals. The first player there, he is Agassi. I suspect that he will take on Patrick Rafter. I think Rafter will be too much for Dominik Krabati, the surprising Slovakian. And I'll tell you, Cliff, we saw a great display from Agassi. Obviously, the crowd loves to see Agassi play wherever he goes, but wouldn't they just be eating up an Andre Agassi, Patrick Rafter semifinal? I'll tell you, the place would be going crazy, this entire country, for that one.
Let's talk about Patrick Rafter. I mean, coming into this tournament, we're not saying that this is one of the potential winners of the event. Let's face it, the guy's been injured. He's had this terrible shoulder problem. Then he goes to Spain and he plays in the Davis Cup final against Spain. He works too hard, apparently, and had to pull out of his first match. So it is a very disappointing effort for him there. But could he ever redeem himself by winning the Australian, or what?
Man, could he? I mean, unbelievable if he could do that. But I think all that work that he actually put in the Davis Cup was actually good for Rafter, because he's been hitting the ball cleanly. He needs to play a lot of tennis to play his best. And once he gets deep into a major, now, of course, into the second week, he's a tough guy to stop. Dominik Krabati is a feisty competitor. He hits the ball incredibly hard off the ground. A good win over Safin. But I think Rafter, with his serve volley game, attacking style, will be a little too much for the Slovakian in this night match that'll be coming up later here in Australia.
A lot more tennis from Australia.